So I ended up working with Jack and Meg, and they wanted me to design a USB stick. They were literally basic caricatures of them. It was a limited edition packaging for their album, Icky Thump. And then before I knew it, I get a phone call, oh, what you've done is been nominated for a Grammy Award. Okay, great. Yeah.
So this is actually the first time we've met in person.
Yeah,
well,
it is, yeah.
Sort of, but it is, isn't it? And often our guests here are people we've worked with or we've collaborated with or we've known for years and stuff like that. This is purely because I pestered you for
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, yeah. And eventually broke him. It's cold, it's morning, he's not a morning person.
No. I do my best, you know.
So we've broken Stan Chow, and now he's here. So I do appreciate it. As you know, there's no benefit in it to any of our guests. They don't get paid. We do give everything that you've paid in terms of your ticket price to. It's going to be the Christie this time.
Yeah, please.
But apart from that, there's literally nothing in it for Stan. So he's here to did I tell you that before? I never say that in the invite. But we do appreciate you being here, and we do appreciate you kind of investing in this community and inspiring us. So we're just going to have a chat.
Yeah.
So why don't you born in 1974, why don't you take us back, like, so we can picture you're born in Altrincham. What's life like as a kid?
What's life as a kid? I mean, it's been well documented now that I grew up in a chippy, and man is like, when I say that, it's like people start taking the piss out of me now. It's like, oh yeah, Stan Chow, born in a chippy. It's like, yeah, chip paper, yeah, we heard it all before. So essentially, parents came over. Dad came over in the 50s, Mum came over in the 70s. I was born in 74. Chippy in Altrincham, opposite Alty Market, which I'm quite, that makes me real proud actually. It's like, I tell everyone, I used to live opposite there, but it was grim in those days. And so all I remember, basically it was just sitting in the back of the chippy and just drawing pictures, and that's all I ever did. We had no TV or anything. It was just like, here's some paper, fill your boots, and that was that for as long as I can remember until we moved house basically.
So it was the equivalent of me giving my kids a device. So
keep
you occupied.
So basically, I just got good at drawing through that really, but also it wasn't a case of being good at it. It was just kind of really enjoying it really, and that's just kind of, and it gets to a point where it's like, you buy books and comics, and then it just twigs like, this is what I actually want to do, So
how old are you when you're thinking that first thought of this is what I want to do?
I reckon I was about 5. I reckon really young. Because I remember even at nursery and stuff like that. It was like I was winning kind of like art competitions then, and it was like, okay, and the encouragement was all there. So it's just kind of like, you become aware that you're all right, and then also the encouragement of people, teachers, family, and then it was just kind of like, okay, so that's enough to kind of make me just want to do nothing else really.
So your parents weren't one of these parents who were like, oh, you'll never make it in art, do a proper job.
Well, no, obviously they wanted me to have a proper job, but they but they realised, I wasn't, I think they were aware enough to realise I wasn't average. I could actually. The main thing was, it was like, I have a cousin in Hong Kong who was a comic artist, and he was establishing himself as a comic artist in Hong Kong at the time as well. So because they had something to kind of, they could see where it could go. That's where the encouragement came from really. If they had no kind of like reference point of what it's like to live life as an artist, then obviously ultimately you'll be worried about that career path. But because they'd already seen it somewhere else, in the family, then it's like, okay, come, fill your boots really, So I was really looking at that aspect, because considering, like, especially people second generation Chinese, it is a cliche, but cliches are, stereotype even, you know what I mean? But like, the second gen Chinese are pushed to kind of like, be a lawyer, be an accountant, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Because ultimately, the parents don't want them to be working in the chip shop for the rest of their lives, you know what I mean? Because like immigrants come over here, to try and find their path in life, and it's not to be owner of a Chinese takeaway, but the Chinese takeaway option is the only option then, you know what I mean? Or even back then it was either that or laundrette, so, and then not career paths really, but it can be now, but back then it was like, right, let's get here, make some money, and hopefully the next generation can do something more worthwhile. Not that food isn't worthwhile, but you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah. Well, you must have more talent than me, because I remember being sent to the head teacher's office where they tried to dissuade me from a career in art.
Right.
So they must have realised I was not good at all that sort of stuff. They even organised a architecture work experience for me.
Just for you?
Just for me. At the council, it was just recladding council houses, so I decided not to do architecture. Anyway, but then you go to school, you carry on in... Yeah,
carry on at school,
meet Barney.
Met Barney,
Inspiration.
We're in the same, we were kind of like, we're competitors, at school, so it was like, he was the enemy for a few years. Yeah.
But then you were still drawing, you were selling.
Yeah, there's one thing, like at school, I do remember getting pulled up by the headmaster, because it was like, this is where I started doing portraits. Like I was doing celebrity portraits then, and like I was selling them for like a £5, like to other school kids, and then one of the teachers discovered I did that and says, either you give that money to charity or you stop doing it. So gave some of it to charity.
So this is what, late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, late 80s. So I was about, I would have been about 14, I was 13, 14. So
it must have been good. Like £5 then. We're talking.
Yeah, it was all right, but I went to private school. Kids have money there.
Well, I read a thing, I think it was in the Mail maybe, that you were around this sense of entitlement. Yeah. But rather than that pushing you down, it gave you the feeling that you were going to achieve what you
Well, I felt that at King's, because because there was a sense of entitlement at private school. You kind of like, you kind of go along with it, really. It just felt like anything was possible, really. There's stuff like, I could never imagine myself even like being in the rugby team, but I ended up being in the rugby team. I even ended up being the athletics captain, which is absolutely mad. But the fact that I could achieve that, was just meant I could do anything. That school kind of, even though it was racist as fuck, the teachers were, some of them weren't, you see, and it kind of the fact that they made me a captain of athletics team felt like is enough of a catalyst, like for me to just feel I could do anything, and that always just kind of like carried on through the rest of my career, really. It just felt like, not that I could do no wrong, but like, it just gives you a kind of a innate confidence that I just don't feel I would have done if I hadn't gone to that school, really.
So you got a bit of a contrast going to private school and living with a chippy, and like your folks must have.
Well, yeah, they literally put all their money into me and my sister's education, really. They felt I was really, education is the most important. That education is a gateway to whatever careers you want to choose.
So did you feel the pressure of that, or was it just, are you just young and don't have a clue?
No, I was young and don't have a clue. But looking back, you kind of understand. When you start comparing other kids, then you can see that there was a contrast in kind of how you were treated, really.
So then, presumably you did all right at school. You went to Swindon?
Oh, well, fucking hell, I went to Swindon. Well, the thing was, is like...
I've got to say, one of our team is from Swindon. She's gone back there now, hasn't she? And I always feel sorry for her.
Yeah. Well, no, I went to do foundation at Manchester, like Manchester Met, which was great, you know. But I ended up in Swindon because I couldn't get into the universities. But I felt like there's one teacher who had a real beef with me, and Barney can testify because we went to foundation as well. He basically says to me, like, basically, Stanley, you got no chance. You might as well work in Tesco's. You know what I mean? And I was like, and this was just before we'd kind of he's writing my report to send to the universities, like for me. And I was like, mate, you know, this isn't. I was like, you know, but anyway.
And what was that? Was that just out and out racism, or was it?
Fuck knows. It was like,
It's clear you were talented.
We got on. The weird thing was we got on all right. You know what I mean? And but then it was just kind of like, and it just had some, whatever issue he had with me was kind of quite low level, and you know, I didn't see it whilst he was teaching me, but it was just kind of, it just when it came to that actual kind of end of year assessment, it was like, oh, you might as well give up. I was like, which is really annoying because I got a low mark in my foundation, but then there was like but I do remember there was a outside marker who gave me one of the highest marks of the year, which was kind of like this. But anyway, it's happened. It's by the by. I use it as fuel. You know, really, you mean it was like, and I did kind of I did see him a few years later, and I was pretty sarcastic with him. You know, like but you know, because I was doing all right. You see, you mean he was just retiring, and I was kind of like literally on the way up. You know, so it was kind of quite. You know, but anyway, yeah. So I ended up in Swindon. I couldn't wait to kind of like leave Swindon as soon as I landed. Basically, you know, I basically spent 2 years getting stoned and watching Jesus Christ Superstar on like every day on video. It's the only thing that kept me sane. I was going through a kind of
Jesus Christ Superstar kept you sane.
Yeah. You know, I felt like it was I think it was the lowest point of my life, really. You know. So at that age, at the time, so yeah, it was a case of just getting through these 2 years and then coming back up to Manchester. And
what contributed it to being the lowest?
I just didn't want to. One of the contributing factors was like, one of the reasons why I chose Swindon was geographical, and I was thinking, okay, I'm not getting anywhere to Liverpool or Leeds or Kingston that I apply for. So Swindon, my thinking was, it's like, okay, it's near London. You know, it's kind of in between Bristol and London, so it'd be easy to get there if I hang out. I'll have friends in London, I can go and visit them. But even back in the early 90s, a train from Swindon to London was 40 quid. And I was like, so the idea, where a train to Bristol was only like a fiver. So it was like, hanging out in Bristol was cool, but I wanted to be in London, you know what I mean? So,
and just to be clear, that's like a week's rent
yeah.
At that time. Yeah.
So the idea, so my plan of kind of hanging out and visiting people in London just became an impossibility because of the sheer price. You know, so that depressed me enough. You know what I mean? So yeah, but Swindon, the first thing when I went to Swindon was like, there's a guy came up to me and just did the Heil Hitler sign. I was like, oh great, this is gonna be fun. You know, so now every time there's a general election, Swindon's always one of the first to come. I always see where they vote, and obviously it's Reform now, and it's just kind of, and obviously they voted Brexit, and it's kind of like, oh, you know, it's just like, yeah, you know, it's lived up to the time when I was there, really. You know, so yeah, it was
no regrets getting out.
Oh, absolutely none at all. You know, but yeah. And
so you qualify from there. What comes next?
What comes next? Came into Manchester, and I started working back in my mum and dad's chippy, and I was just doing my, serving people and stuff. And then there's one guy came in. He ordered like a big meal, and whilst he was ordering, he was like, I was just doodling on the chip paper, And he strikes up a conversation with me. He said, so what do you do then? I said, I work in a chippy. I said, no.
What do you do, detective?
He says, no, what do you actually do? Well, I just finished the, art school, and I'm just, and just seeing how things happen, And he says, I work for JWT, J. Ball Thompson. I don't know if they still exist around here, but it's a big ad agency in Manchester. It says like, but if you want, I'll get you an interview like at JWT. He says, okay, great. So I got an interview with JWT, and then I can't remember who the guy was called Sid Wolf, and he said like he was the boss at the time. He says like, I really like your work, but we don't take on freelance illustrators. But my mate, she's an art agent. She works down the road. I'll set up a meeting with with you there. So I traipsed along with my portfolio to meet Jenny Lamb. She's an art agent, and says like, looks at my work, really like your work. We'll give you like a few month trial, see how you get on, work in our studio. And then before I knew it, I had an art agent, and then that was my art career kind of starting really,
And at that time, at this point, you've not sort of got to the style that that you're known for.
No.
So you work at what kind of work you are doing?
I was doing kind of stuff like just like magazine stuff, like because art like my style just went all quite fashiony and lifestyle basically. So all my portfolio was all quite lifestyle-y, girls in nice clothes and just kind of and stuff like that. But when I got on to the work I was getting was just kind of like the style sections in the weekend supplements. I also was doing like Position of Fortnight for More magazine and stuff like that, and yoga poses, and just kind of like. It was great getting to work, but then you realise I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be doing these, lifestyle illustrations, But I was also getting like storyboard work for like with Saatchi & Saatchi. I was doing like, I for like 2 years or so, I was doing like storyboarding for Head and Shoulders adverts, which was kind of quite cool. It was nice. It was like, you get paid 70 quid for like a little. A little thumbnail, whatever, So I was laughing really for like for a bit, So that was like the early part of my career, just doing lifestyle illustration and stuff like that, really.
And you got, by the way, I love these little things that you drop in, like the Position of the Fortnight.
Yeah.
But also, if you're gonna name an advertising mogul, Sid Wolf would be the name, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how good is that? Sid Wolf. Anyway, sorry.
I know what it means. That name will never leave my head. Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. So I've heard you describe that period of time that you felt like you plateaued.
Yeah.
You didn't really like the work you were doing. You were kind of shoehorned into it. Yeah. So how do you get out of that? How do you break that mold?
I had two, like, by this time I'd moved agencies anyway, but like I had two revenue streams anyway, because I was DJing a lot in town. So it was juggling DJing at night and also kind of
out of passion or necessity or both, or
both really. I love DJing, but I also needed the extra cash. But I was making. I felt like I was making good money, and it was like there was enough money in the bank to say, right, I need to kind of like make a change now, and if no work comes in for a while, there's still enough money in the bank that where I can actually kind of like live off. And it was but I also had to kind of make a decision where, like, because I was still at a crossroads. I felt I could have really become. I could have really pushed the DJ and turned out full time if I really wanted to. But I I didn't want to be an aging DJ. Even I was kind of like late 20s at the time. I just don't, I felt like being a DJ in the 30s just felt wrong, really, because you know what I mean, I was too old. Even ironically, I'm 51 now and I'm still DJing like in town. But at that time, it felt like you're too old to be DJing once you hit your 30s, you know. So I felt like, right, okay, I'm gonna, you know, at least DJ less and concentrate and focus on my illustration career. And it was a case of like, and I said to my agent at the time, I want to change, but like I want to do what I really love doing, which is portraits. Portraits is what I was really good at when I was at school. But I always felt like when I left art school, and even at art school, it wasn't something that I had the confidence to do, because it's like, I felt like there were so many really good portrait artists and caricature artists that I'll never be able to break into that bracket. You know, I didn't have that confidence to be able to kind of feel like I could break into that bracket. But after like 10 years of being in the illustration business, I think I gained enough experience and enough kind of technical tools to be able to, right, I want to do portraits again, and I really want to push it.
And just to pause and give us a picture of that period of time, it's not all digitized yet, really, is it? It's starting.
It's starting to get digitized, yeah. I
So
just
your
basically
fashion illustrations and your frames for Saatchi & Saatchi would have been
hand drawn and paintings and stuff like that. Yeah. But at that time, I was also learning how to use Illustrator mainly, you know. But you know, I again, I felt like I learned enough through using Illustrator to feel I got the confidence to technically do what's in here, basically, you know, because that was the issue, you see, with my style. Was it's like what I had in here I couldn't actually physically do with pen and ink and painting, you know what I mean? So when I fully learned how to use Illustrator, it was like, okay, I can do what I want to do now. So once I had all this armory, it was like, right, I'm going to do portraits in this style that I've had in my head for a few years now. So, and then it was just a case of kind of like just literally doing it, you know. So I started doing portraits, just random portraits, but then I realized like I needed to put them into context, really, you know, because it felt like a portrait on its own just didn't feel enough. So I started creating kind of like gig posters. So I was doing gig posters. So the first one I did was like for I Am Clue, and they used it for their night and day shows. So that was good. And then I kind of did one. I did a fan art one for the White Stripes, and that's when it all kind of went. That's when it blew up, really.
So tell us that story. And first of all, so
Yeah.
you said that you'd got this idea of portraits that you wanted to create.
Yeah.
Is that the style we're familiar with now, or did that
Yeah,
evolve?
pretty much so. Yeah. It's evolved.
The geometric.
You mean, yeah,
kind of.
yeah. Admittedly, in my head, it's like I would have stayed more geometric and more abstract, but commerciality wouldn't allow that. I needed to kind of go more realistic, just to kind of, because I mean, like, because I don't feel like the general public can actually see, they haven't got the that discerning eye to be able to see a really abstract image, caricature, and be able to see it as an actual person. You know, sometimes they'll look at that and say that's just a square with two circles for eyes, but actually, if you look hard enough, some people would have actually seen that's actually an actual caricature of somebody else, you see. But the connection, not everyone can connect those dots, and well, not enough people could connect those dots to make it a success, basically. So I had to make these illustrations a little bit more realistic and more like the person to be able to kind of carry on, and you know, and it was a case of kind of like bringing you know, the geometry kind of like coming in and out to make, just to kind of get right balance, you know. But that's taken. I'm still working on that, really. You know, it's still kind of trying to do something realistic but still make it seem geometric. You know.
We'll come back to process, but tell us the White Stripes.
The White Stripes. Story. Okay, so what happened with the White Stripes was I did a fan art poster, and I basically posted it up on MySpace, as you do. I don't know if you're old enough to remember MySpace.
Sadly, yeah.
But then with MySpace, and then it was up for a few years on MySpace, and then like I got a phone call off the White Stripes manager saying like, can you please take that White Stripes picture down? and if you've actually got any prints, can you destroy them all, please? And I was like, okay. And then I was like, but by the way, Jack and Meg want to work with you. Okay, cool. All right, so it was like, so yeah, took it down immediately. No evidence of the pictures ever existing. So yeah, so I ended up working with Jack and Meg, and they wanted me to design a USB stick. They were literally basic caricatures of them, and then it was a limited edition packaging for their album Icky Thump, which is great. So I did that for them, got paid, life goes on, and then before I knew it, I get a phone call. Oh, what you've done is you've been nominated for a Grammy Award. Oh, okay, great. And that was basically, that's kind of one of the kind of like my kind of like ticket into kind of doing all right in the States, basically, because my name just kind of started to kind of filter around them amongst different art directors and whatever, and but also it also kind of worked with having Tumblr. Well, Tumblr became a really useful tool, because Tumblr, when MySpace died, Tumblr became a thing, and like all these things work kind of well with each other. Kind of putting your name out, and also having Tumblr as the new social networking imaging site. And because at that time, when Tumblr first came out, it only seemed like it was mainly art directors and creatives using it. So it wasn't saturated with unicorns and shit like that. There has some nice stuff in it. So you weren't kind of like, you weren't hidden. You would literally, if you put good work on there, it will just like spread like wildfire. So in those days, it was like, you try to get 1 million views on anything, but on Tumblr, it's like you put a picture, and before you know, it's like this has got 1 million views already. It's like shit, So that's how I established my reputation. Really, that if it wasn't for Tumblr, I don't think I'd be sat here now, because it's like because at that time the competition wasn't as fierce as it is now. It just felt like, okay, this is the internet. Okay, what can we do here? This is like this new frontier, and if you're brave enough to kind of step into it, things will happen, And at that time, that's where art directors were looking at, and that's how I got known, and it helped having that Grammy nomination under my belt as well to kind of help establish my career in America.
You have always kind of adopted social media pretty quick, haven't you? So MySpace, Tumblr, Instagram, X, Twitter. And that, I think that's how you got into the football stuff. Really.
Well, as well. At a similar time as well, it was like, I did a picture of Wayne Rooney, and then Edgar Davids, like the greatest Dutch footballer, or one of the greatest ones, I know. He saw my Wayne Rooney and says, I want one. So, okay, I'll draw you one. So I did a picture of Edgar Davids, and he used it for his Twitter avatar for a few years. And that kind of helped establish my reputation. So I ended up doing some work with 442 magazines, different sports magazines, and stuff like that. So all these things were kind of like snowboarding all at the same time, as well as.
How deliberate are you with it? Like, do you? So there's been some pretty timely portraits created. So I'm thinking Bradley Wiggins.
Oh yeah, that was on purpose. I couldn't give a shit about Bradley Wiggins, to be honest with you.
But sorry, Bradley, if you're watching.
I did have half an hour in the cycling, and I thought like, okay, this guy who's won a few gold medals, he's doing all right in the Tour de France, and there were about 3 or 4 stages left before the actual final stage. You know what? I'll do a picture of Bradley Wiggins, and that blew up as well,
But you posted it as he crossed the line.
So that was timely. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be aware of how social media works. And that's without blowing my own trumpet, that's kind of social media savviness, really. I completely took advantage, and then like and the weird thing about that one was, it was like a few weeks later, Bradley Wiggins' manager approached my agent and said, like, I want to buy that picture. I want to buy the rights for that picture. He offered 10 grand, and I said no. I'll take more, but 10 grand's not enough, you know. But by then I've already made about 10 grand just from selling prints of it, you know what I mean? But also it was like it made a lot of money, that picture, because it ended up on a Skoda advert, and it ended up it was in a Skoda advert for about not even half a second, but they paid me like 10 grand for that as well, which was great. And, you know, but also like Eurosport ripped it off, nicked the illustration and used it for a Eurosport advert. So I didn't know this, but then like a guy said, "Oh God, I just seen your Bradley Wiggins Eurosport advert." I said, "What?" I have no idea. So I basically sat in front of Eurosport for a whole day, waiting for and then this advert like turns up and it's like, "Shit, that's my picture." Email. I went onto their website, literally emailed everyone on Eurosport. My IP's been stolen here. And literally they rang up immediately and said, "Really sorry, here's a bunch of money. Don't say anything." So
did you end up selling the rights?
No, I didn't. But the thing was, if I sold the rights to him, I wouldn't have made as much money as I had already. You see, so that was, I mean, like my head was like, sell it. But then, because if he wants to, but I'm thinking if the manager wants to buy it for that amount of money, it must be worth more. so that was my kind of that was my thinking at the time, you know, and it turned out that was the case really.
And similar with, well, probably not as financially rewarding, but Andy Burnham. During COVID.
Oh yeah, that
ended up everywhere.
Yeah, that was nuts. Well, this is it. See, it was like, well, you know, he did this talk on the steps, you know. And we all saw it. It was a great speech and stuff like that. And my wife says, like, "You should draw Andy Burnham." I said, okay, I'll do. I eventually did him, and I posted it up, and then like within 10 minutes, like, shit, Andy Burnham's using it on his Twitter profile already. So
I think he still is, isn't he?
Yeah, it still is. Yeah. And then he goes, "Is like," and then I DM'd him, "Oi." You know, so from then on we just kind of like, you know, I ended up doing 2 mayor campaigns for him. So that kind of turned out all right as well, you know.
See, are you more? You strike me as you probably could have done anything. Like you're not afraid of the hustle, are you? Doesn't seem.
It depends what you mean by hustle. I just do whatever I feel, you know, that I feel is right. Really, I mean, it's not, I'm not.
Well,
I won't say I was a hustler as such.
But you're not afraid of the commercial aspect of what you do.
No.
And I think a lot of illustrators, a lot of artists prefer to be seen as sort of the locked away in the, you know, in their moment and creating art because it's beautiful. And I'm sure there's an element of that, but you're actually, I find it a bit refreshing that you're like, no, there's commercial value in this, and I'll.
Well, you know, I think the issue comes with when you have kids, you got a mortgage, and it's like they're the most important things. I forget about my own kind of like integrity or anything like that, or it's like, as far as I'm concerned, paying the mortgage, keeping a roof over my kids' heads, their future is the most important, paramount. So that's what I'm always that's what my eye is on. So everything I do is funneled into that, basically, you know. I mean, it's like yeah, okay. Along the way, I picked up a bit of fame and reputation, but ultimately, that's the end game, really. I mean, just to kind of pay off the mortgage, kids hopefully they get to university without too much trouble and stuff like that, and that's all I really care about, you know. I mean, I like the kind of like all the trappings and trimmings that's come along. You know, the whole family benefited from lots of nice things that's happened on the way, but they're minor compared to just wanting my kids to have a, you know, a future, really.
I love that. I can't not mention the New Yorker. I subscribed to the New Yorker pretty much just for the covers.
Right.
But you became part of that.
Yeah. Well, the New Yorker kind of like came from the art director at the time was called Christ, I can't remember his name now. Anyway, he was a cool dude, and he was a football fan. He's a massive Arsenal fan, but he liked my work, you know. So he saw loads of my football portraits, and basically he just said like, I want these football portraits in our magazine. So I ended up doing like a whole load of, you know, like, you know, illustration work for him. Not got a cover, unfortunately, which is quite annoying. It's you know, it might happen, but it feels further and further away now. But that's the kind of that'll be that's my bucket list. Ultimate is a New Yorker cover, but like but yeah. So I was working like for them for a few years, like just doing like just magazine work. But then like it was 10 years ago, no, 11 years ago. They had a rebrand. They went fully digital, and they wanted like instead of like they used to have like all the staff writers used to have these old-fashioned photographs, black and white photographs, and he said, well, look, let's modernise it, get Stan to do all the staff portraits, basically all the writers' portraits. So for the last it's actually 11 years now. 11 years I've been doing all the portraits for all the writers in the New Yorker. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. I've done about 300 now. So
wow.
So yeah, which is
Can you talk us through the process of creating those?
I mean, yeah, I'll try and simplify as I mean, like the process is like I get an email. This guy he needs his portrait done. They'll send me like 1 or 2 photographs. Then I'll go like, okay, these 2 photographs aren't good enough. The problem is like most writers are pretty camera shy. They don't, you know. So can you just take a selfie, mate, and just send me a selfie? And it's like, and then you'll wait 2 weeks and still nothing happens. So basically, you have to go online and search. Go on their Facebook. Go on Twitter. Literally, kind of stalk them, you know. And then you get a whole rounded, version of them, you know. And then.
And is this the same process for anyone?
You create? Yeah. And then it's just kind of like, okay, I'll email them, what clothing would you like to be wearing? So the blue tie, whatever, you know. So you get all that stuff, and then it's just a case of like, it's just looking at their photographs for long enough. So when I close my eyes, I can see their face in my head. And in my head, I can basically kind of like a caricature of them, of how I want it to look, will materialise in my head. And then once that's materialised, then I can just put it onto the screen, basically, and that's kind of how it works.
Do you sketch it out first, or do you?
Well, no, it just happens. It just kind of like I put you know, because I work on Illustrator, it's all about shapes. So you're creating squares and triangles and circles, and you just put them all together and you just move them until it actually looks like the person it's meant to look like. Yeah. So this is why it's better than pen and paper, where if you get it wrong, you rub it out. Where when I'm creating caricatures on Illustrator, it's the case of literally like 1 pixel down, yeah, nudge, and then you can nudge left and right. It's patience really, until it turns into the person you want it to look like. That's the process. That's the simplest way I could describe the process.
So I mean, what you mentioned before was that you could get it right down to a square and a couple of circles.
I could. It'll take fucking hours, but you can. It's possible.
But what? I mean, where do you stop? Like, how do you know when to stop?
It just becomes instinctive. You know, it's like when you eat. When you finish when you're full, you mean, or when the.
But do you put? Yeah. Is there? I'm trying to imagine it. Is there loads of stuff on screen and you start taking it away? Yeah,
there's both. There's sometimes it just happens. It's like literally like the the minute you put the circle down and it's all there, it's just like, oh my God, that's a fluke, but amazing, great. I can have the rest of the day off. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's like, oh, this is really hard, and you're like, because when people ask me like, how long does it take to do a portrait? Some will literally take half an hour. Some will take a whole week to get right. And like,
is there anyone you've hated doing?
Oh yeah, Chris Rock. Yeah, Chris Rock. And the worst thing about Chris Rock was it was actually in the commission for the New Yorker. It took me about 5 days to get right, and then I submitted it, and then they changed their mind, said, "Oh, we're going to use the photographer instead." I was like, "You bastards!" but you still get paid in full, thankfully, because but it's still really annoying. I was like, ugh. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, that was traumatic. That one. It was because it took so long, and two, it was like, I thought I nailed it. It was like, yes, brilliant, I love it, finally,
So has it ever seen the light of day?
No.
Will it?
Yeah, I might just post it. I might post it up on Instagram somewhere.
Just waiting for him to do something.
Yeah. Wait for him to die, obviously. Yeah. Or get slapped in the face or whatever. Yeah.
You just started working. I think you put it on your story yesterday about Big Issue.
Oh right, that was. I've been working with Big Issue for like 3 or 4 years now. They basically just said, look, design us some socks. And I said like, well, and it was like, it's quite uninspiring. Can you do some Christmas socks? And I was like, okay. And I was like, I said like, but can I actually also at the same time design a pair of socks that I'll wear? And they said, yes, you can do that as well. So what they've done is like for every year, all the money goes to like the homeless. But so they release a pair of socks. It's like Santa Claus's face and shit. And whatever.
This is some ad campaign.
Yeah. or it'll be a snowman or something like that. And then the next pair is like, I'm going to design a pair of socks that I actually will wear. So I'll design a nice kind of like funky pair of socks that I'll wear, and also give them a Santa Claus snowman sock. So we do that every year, which is quite good. And now they turn into wrapping paper.
There's wrapping paper cards, so you can find that on the Big Issue website.
They're really cool, actually. They're really cool. They're not shit.
Yeah, we'll take that snippet out. Santa and shit. Have we got any questions from the floor for Stan? Ben.
Thanks, Dan. That's great. Would you ever go back to the kind of abstract style where it is a square and 2 circles, and would there ever be a series of portraits like that?
Yes, if I had the time, because I mean, I still do them every now and again. I mean, like every now and again, if one will pop up on Instagram because it's like, oh, I nailed that one, and it's all about because they take so long to do. Well, no, it's not take so long to do. You can't predict how long they'll take. You see, so if someone says like you got 2 months to do 10 portraits in this style, it's like I can't guarantee I'll be able to do it in that time because it's like because it is so hard to kind of I'm not fully nailed that style yet to be able to do that but yeah, no, I do want to go more abstract, but it's tricky because you're weighing up feeding your family and doing something creatively really good, and feeding family comes first.
Do you ever stray from the portraits? Do you do other stuff?
Yeah, I do other stuff. I mean, I do buildings every now and again. But yeah, no, I try to stray. I mean, like when I get spare time, I get commissioned to do other stuff as well. But like, but because I'm known for what I'm mainly do now, it's like that's generally kind of what I get asked to do. In my spare time, I will do other stuff, and I'll do. I mean, like, I did some work for Pip, the restaurant, a few weeks ago, which wasn't people. It was like, bottles of wine and shit like that. Sorry, I just can't help. It's all pretty, you know. But yeah, it's just stuff, you know. So, I mean,
Does it ever feel like a constraint, or do you get people asking for?
Oh no, I get
sort of commissions that you just think, oh come on.
Oh, no, I get sometimes. Well, it depends. But sometimes I do get excited. You know, I mean, I did one like there's Manchester Ceramics, like they asked me to do a poster for them, and I was like, I think maybe a younger version of me would have thought, I have no idea what to do. But now the older version of me is like, oh, this is exciting. I can just try something different. You know, because sometimes I've not gone into this, but like sometimes I do feel like I'm a prisoner in my own style, because I do want to evolve. I want to do other stuff, but admittedly, because of the way the commissions are coming in, all I'm asked to do is portraits. So the opportunity to do something different is generally I'm very grateful for.
So in the way that you had in your head this portrait style for a few years before you were unleashed on it,
yeah.
Do you have what's next in your head?
Yeah, kind of. But unfortunately, it's just going to stay in my head for a while because the opportunities aren't there. You know, I've got the time. You know, because I just feel I'm constantly like busy, really, kind of doing actual like commercial work, and but you know, I'm sure it will. You know.
I'll look forward to seeing what that next evolution of Stan Chow is.
Yeah.
You had a question?
Oh yeah, two questions. Who would you like to do that you've not done yet, and what's your favourite song from Jesus Christ Superstar?
Very good.
Oh God, it's probably like Heaven in My Mind. You know, but the person who I'd like to do. Oh my God. The entire Jesus Christ Superstar movie cast. You know, yeah. No, there's loads. I mean, I can't even. I mean, there's so many people that I've already done. You know, that have been on that who I'd like to do, and then I've actually ended up doing them. Yeah. So it's kind of like who else is there? I'm sure.
Was Cantona a commission, or was it a?
Cantona, the one Cantona was commissioned. No, two of the Cantonas I've done were commissions, you know, and the one, you know, but you know, and a few of us weren't, you know, but yeah. So, but yeah, no, but also I like to do the United treble winning team in 2026 or whatever.
36.
Yeah.
Do you hear back from, you know, like you do the Cantona one, do you hear from them?
No, I mean, really, I am working, I did one of Lord actually, like for AO Arena this weekend, and Lord got back to me and said, we really like it, and
it must be a bit of a buzz,
can we have some more? Yeah, it was a buzz, you know. It's because it's really rare that someone gets back to be honest with you. Yeah, you know, because I don't directly give it to them. You see, they always get to the person by a third or fourth party. You see, you know. So I'll do the picture because someone's commissioned it and they get it, and they give it to someone else. They give it to someone else, and finally gets to the person. And by the time they say they like it, it's not heard back to me. You know, it's not come back to me. But you know, but right now it's like I am working on a project with Man United now, so I will hopefully get to hear back from some other people who I'm doing stuff with. But yeah.
Very good. Any more questions?
Okay. Good. Great.
Oh, all right. One of the things I take from your journey, Stan, is that you are quite self-effacing, and this thing of serendipity.
Yeah.
But serendipity only happens because you put so much stuff out there.
Well, it's the old cliches that you make your own luck, right? You know, that's you're in it to win it, or those whatever. You know, but you know, you can't just sit in your arse and hope serendipity happen. You got to go out there and make it happen. You know, and then sometimes it does, and when it does, it's a great story. You know?
And sometimes it's years later, like the White Stripes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, can we, Stan, you've been brilliant. Can we thank you?